Welcome to another end of the year video. Yeah, it feels like it was yesterday that I did my top 10 best and worst of 2023, but we're now doing the 2024 list, so time sure flew, didn't it? Well, anyways, without wasting much time, we're going to take a look back at this year and look over the worst that this year had to offer. And there were some fucking doozies this year, let me tell you. But before we get into the worst, we're going to get over some dishonorable mentions first. Trap. Venom, The Last Dance. Joker, Folie à Deux. Drive-Away Dolls. Kraven the Hunter. Y2K. Saving Bikini Bottom, the Sandy Cheeks movie. Night Swim. Founders Day. Argyle. And Red One. You were all disappointing or just plain bad. But none of you compare to the awful shit that is on my top 10 worst of the year. So without further ado, let's get this shit on. Number 10. There were some very ambitious failures to come out in 2024. And speaking of that, Francis Ford Coppola had to join this with Megalopolis. Megalopolis is one of the most heartbreaking films I have ever seen because all this movie was Francis Ford Coppola jerking himself off. That's it. Who the fuck did he make this movie for? I know, himself. There's nothing compelling about this movie. The characters suck. There's nothing to them. Sure, the performances are fine and the movie looks cool, but it offers nothing in terms of story, in terms of dramatic tension, no excitement, nothing. This movie was a complete waste of time. 2 hours and 20 minutes. That's how long this movie is. Why? There's nothing in this movie that warrants that runtime. Number 9. Next on this list of dumpster fires is the Garfield movie. Yeah, the one where Chris Pratt never tries. I know I love Chris Pratt and all, but what was he thinking? Like, he never attempts to sound like Garfield. All I can hear is Chris Pratt. None of the characters are remotely fucking interesting. The story is just a heist movie. Cool. I can think of another shitty heist movie for kids. It was called The Nut Job. Thanks for reminding me of that, Garfield. Also, this movie is just plain fucking boring. I can't imagine anyone over the age of 3 to 5 liking this movie. It was terrible. Don't watch it. Number 8. Imaginary was a movie I was kind of looking forward to because Jeff Wadlow made 2 previous horror films that I thought are so bad they're good. They're really funny, Truth or Dare and Fantasy Island. Now we got Imaginary, where he settles for just boring and generic. Fun! This was a painful chore to sit through. Why did he abandon the so bad is good charm of his previous 2 horror films? Like, why? I was looking forward to that. Instead of being entertained by how shitty it is, I got bored because this movie's boring. Never tries. Doesn't have a personality. None of that. It's just one of the most generic fucking supernatural movies I have seen in a while. Ugh. Good job, Blumhouse, for putting out another really terrible horror film like you have been for the past fucking year. Number 7. Disney was having a pretty okay year this year until I saw Mufasa the Lion King. Talking about a movie that no one wanted and certainly did not need. What was the point of this? To say that Scar and Mufasa are not brothers? Why do you have to ruin a perfectly good story that is The Lion King? And on top of that, this movie's boring, it has shitty songs, nothing was remotely interesting, And of course, it comes with the same problem as the 2019 shitfest known as the Lion King remake, where you have some very, very beautiful looking effects, but it comes to the detriment of the story because when characters have to emote, they can't because it's photorealistic. Disney, stop. Stop. Okay? It's bad enough that I totally have to look forward to Snow White in March. Fun. Disney, you seriously need to get your shit together. You've been trying to this whole year. You've had a few great films come out. Why do you have to ruin your streak with shit like this? Number 6. The Crow is another reboot that no one asked for, and it was bad. I was predicting it was bad just like many people, and boy did this movie not disappoint in that regard. But what it did disappoint in is offering an entertaining origin story with stylistic action and a great pace. This movie does none of that. Instead, you have the Crow revenge stuff only happening in the final act, and the first hour or so is a love story. A shitty one at that. Bill Skarsgård, you're better than this. You proved that in another movie this year called Boy Kills World. That's an underrated gem. People should watch that instead of this. This movie was just a dull, lifeless version of The Crow. Just stick with the 94 version. It is infinitely more entertaining than this one. It has better action. It has better acting. It has style. It has all that. Anything that the 94 one does is all better than this. Just saying. Number 5. Despicable Me 4 has Illumination back at their usual shit again! Whoa! Exciting! Illumination was like, Despicable Me 3 was bad? Oh, just you wait. Despicable Me 4 is a movie that disrespects the intelligence of children, even more so than the Garfield movie. This movie was cheap, lazy, had no cohesive plot, nothing was in focus here. You had it was just a big mishmash of so many uninteresting plots, including the Minions being superheroes. And the Minions being annoying as usual. Yeah! Despicable Me 4 is the embodiment of everything wrong with children's animation. What more could you ask for when it comes to shitty kids movies? Doesn't get any better than this. I'm saying that sarcastically, by the way. Despicable Me 4 is complete shit. Utter garbage. Just let this franchise die. Number 4! You thought Imaginary would be the only shitty horror movie on this list? Ha! We got The Strangers Chapter 1, motherfucker. Ugh. Boring, lazy horror films. You can't go a whole year without at least a couple. This movie was just a repackaging of the first movie, just much more boring, much less tension, and even dumber characters. This movie will make you lose brain cells watching it. Because the decisions that are made in this movie are baffling. Wow! And then, of course, the strangers, the home invaders, are killers, right? When people die in this movie, there's no gore. So really, there's nothing to watch this movie for. You get toothless violence, even though it's rated R. It's boring. The horror is not effective. And then you lose brain cells on top of it. That makes for an unbelievably horrible experience. Fuck this shit. Oh, number 3. If you thought the first Rebel Moon was bad, oh boy, just wait until you see part 2. It's even worse. Whoa, yeah! Zack Snyder, you're at it again. I hate to hate on Zack Snyder because he can make good shit. But my God, what the fuck is he doing with Rebel Moon? And by the way, the director's cut is not much better. So there you go, take that for what you will. This movie was just style over substance in the worst fucking way possible. The characters suck. Even the action sequences are boring this time. I could give a little bit of credit to the first one because the action wasn't that bad, but here it's just laid on thick, and this time whatever excitement there was from the first one is gone. If you're gonna have non-stop action, like just pile it on, at least cut the exposition down and make the characters interesting. That's all I ask for. Zack Snyder's not getting the hint. Fuck. Just stop with this shit. Stop. Just like I told Disney with Mufasa. Zack Snyder, stop. Number 2. You're surprised that Madam Web isn't my number 1, are you? Yeah, I wouldn't blame you if you're surprised, but no, there's only one more movie this year that's worse than this. Where can I begin with Madam Web? The acting, dog shit. Effects, dog shit. Action sequences, dog shit. Everything about this movie is shit. And not only are those 3 things shit, the dubbing on the villain. What the fuck? Why? Why? God damn. Why spend so much money on a movie when it's going to be this fucking incompetent? This is one of the most lifeless and boring superhero films I have seen in years. This is the worst fucking comic book movie I have seen since Fat Four Stick. I am not joking. This movie was terrible. This movie is an insult to the art of filmmaking. What made them think this was worthy of putting out in theaters? Did they really think, yeah, Madam Web, good quality to put out in theaters so people can pay $12 fucking a ticket? At least that's what it costs here. God damn, Sony, are you okay over there? And did you really think you're going to get something better when you got the same writers as Morbius behind it? Fuck off! Oh yeah, and by the way, you won't like me when I'm hangry? Who came up with that line? Sony really paid writers to write that shit in. Wow. Please, stop. Fire those writers, they don't deserve work! At least I can say, this franchise has finally come to an end. Thank God. And the biggest piece of dog shit of the year award goes to Borderlands is my number fucking 1. Wow. Eli Roth. Wow. He went from making one of my favorite movies of last year to the worst film of this year. Holy shit. This movie made me rage quit out of the fucking theater. Wow, I was livid with this movie. It is not only the worst made movie of the year, it was the most annoying film of the year. The comedy in this movie was garbage. Annoying. You got a big, talented cast in this movie, and you made every single one of them suck! Everyone was miscast in this movie, and Jack Black, don't get me fucking started on him as Claptrap. Oh, fuck. I might have a heart attack talking about this movie. That's how much this movie pissed me off! Okay, let me calm down. Let's talk about the problems with Borderlands in a quick fashion. The action sequences are even worse than Madam Web's action. Nothing exciting here, nothing thrilling, and of course, it's toothless because it's a PG-13 movie based on an M-rated game series. Bravo! Pat on the back! And Eli Roth, what were you thinking making this shit PG-13? Why? Because kids play Borderlands? Whatever. And then you got the special effects. Oh boy. not only is the CGI bad, but the green screen is too. There are several scenes in this movie where the green screen is visible as daylight. Fuck. I don't know how to describe this shit because it was so fucking terrible. Wow. It has a terrible script, has terrible performances from good actors, it's got terrible action, terrible special effects, terrible visuals, all that shit. Fuck you, Borderlands. Fuck you. Not only are you the worst film of 2024, you are the worst film of the decade. Bravo. You achieved the ultimate standard of shit. Fuck off. Thank you for joining me for my top 10 worst films of 2024. This year sure was a year of highs and lows, that's for sure. But anyways, I look forward to reviewing a lot of films next year. It's going to be great. Hopefully the movies next year aren't as bad as the movies that are on my worst of the year of this year. Well, it's been a good year. Happy New Year, everybody, and see you then.